Hello again. Welcome back to Buddha Bites. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 10. Can you believe that we've gotten to 10 of these? Well, we have a reason to celebrate. First of all, we are getting close to Valentine's Day. And I have worked in the food service industry most of my adult life. I'm not going to tell you to not go to restaurants. Go and patronize your restaurants as much as you can. We appreciate it. However, restaurant dining is expensive, as we know, and your experience might not be quite as comfortable because, we in the restaurant industry, we're trying to make our money. We're trying to turn tables. So you might not have as much time to gaze lovingly into each other's eyes on Valentine's Day. So what is an option? An option is to make a sumptuous dinner for the one you love at home. So we know that it's going to cost less, and you can make it just as elegant, and you have all the time in the world. So let's go into the kitchen and make Valentine's dinner. We are going to make surf and turf. That is beef and seafood. And in order to make the beef, which is a lovely piece of filet mignon, we are going to use a technique called reverse searing. We have a 4-ounce piece of filet mignon, and this was very reasonably priced. It's 4 ounces. It comes in a package with 2 filet mignon, and this cost me like $25 a pound. So 8 ounces is a pound, 4 ounces is a half a pound, 4 ounces is your serving. And for us Americans who really have a problem, including myself, with proper portion size, it is about the size of the palm of my hand, give or take a little. So it's a reasonable size. So for a reverse sear, and the reason why we do this is that it's very difficult to get meat to the proper temperature, especially those of us who are not professional chefs. Even though I'm wearing the coat today, I am an avid home cook. I am not a chef, and I am learning as I go. So the reverse searing is a great technique for those of us who are new to making a perfect steak. And it helps us to do that by cooking it to essentially the temperature that we want it to be, and then searing it later in a scorching hot skillet to get the crispness of the crust and a crust that you want in a beautiful filet mignon. So here were my 2 filet mignon. They came in this package, and I paid less than $25 for this. And I just have to show you this. I looked at this and it cracked me up. Ingredients: beef. So now that we've clarified that, let's move on to said beef. So the enemy to a good browning or searing is water. So what we will do is we'll take a paper towel and we will dab, ooh, that's the chef's piece. Cool. We will dab this to where we get as much of the moisture off as we can. Then we will season it. It seems almost counterintuitive, but it actually will make perfect sense when you see the final product. So we will season with kosher salt. Now remember when we were talking about the difference between table salt and kosher salt? I'm using kosher salt this time because of the texture that it gives the meat once it's cooked. It adds to the crispiness. So kosher salt for this application. Then we're going to put some pepper on it. We're going to do that on both sides. But I also have some of this. If you've ever seen Montreal steak seasoning, I happen to have some of this, and it has, even though it has salt and pepper in it already, and I already did salt and pepper, it has a couple more seasonings, so I'm going to do a very, very light sprinkle of that. And then we'll pat this in and do the other side. Remember also when we were talking about clean hand, wet hand? I now have a wet hand, and I have a clean hand, so I can take the salt and the pepper with my clean hand and do the other side. So that is our kosher salt, our black pepper, and I want to let you know that I actually did pre-grind this black pepper from the pepper mill. I am, as you know, a strong proponent for seasoning your food as well as you can, a little bit of the Montreal seasoning. And we're going to pat this in. You see that this is already soaked in to the first side. So what we're going to do is we are going to take the filet, put it on top of some sort of rack that you have. Now this is a sizzle plate. I don't have the perfect size rack for this, so that it can get air above and below. Now this is going to sit in the refrigerator for at least an hour. So we're going to take this over to the refrigerator and let it do its thing for a little bit. Now, I was able to prep a couple of fillets so that we're not waiting for an hour. And so those fillets are here. Now, I want to show you that these have already been in the oven. They went in the oven low and slow at 250 degrees. That's the key to getting the meat to the right temperature. So I'm going to put these in right now, and then you and I are going to talk about how we like our steaks done. So this is ready to go. Actually, wait a minute, what am I talking about? I've already done that. So that's already been in the oven. I'm going to take this off for now. Let's talk about my cheat sheet. Sometimes I forget what I've already done. I have done a cheat sheet with doneness. So if you or your beloved like a rare steak, you want to cook your steak to 120 degrees, 120. I think I'll put these in the notes on the video. If you like a medium rare is 130. I like medium. Medium is 140. Medium well, listen, some people like it that way. I'm not mad at you. That is, medium well is 150 degrees on the internal temperature. And well done, which basically is a hockey puck. But some people do that. Sometimes it's a cultural thing. So well done is 160 degrees internal temperature plus. So when you put these in the oven, which I have already done, you want to check them frequently. And I have my lovely, trusty Thermapen 1, and it came in purple, so I had to buy it. I gave the red one to my brother-in-law. He likes red. So what you do is, I'm not going to do it now because these have been sitting for a while, is that you test the meat in the thickest part of the meat. I'm not going to probe it now because it's going to give you a temperature that's not going to be accurate. But you put it in the thickest portion, and this will give you an instant read of the temperature. If it's not up to the temperature that you want, you just keep doing it till it is. And I want to tell you this is super important, especially with reverse searing. You want to take it to 10 degrees less than those temperatures that I just read you. Okay, because it's going to be cooking more from both the residual heat from sitting after it came out of the oven, as well as the sear that you're going to put on it. So now we're going to leave this alone for a little while. Now that I remember that I didn't have to put it in the oven again. And we're going to talk about the rest of this meal, which is going to be a snap. Why is it going to be a snap? Because it's all going to go on a sheet pan. Now, I have chosen some vegetables. I have chosen green beans. Actually, these are haricots verts. And we're also going to do some baby multicolored potatoes. Now, again, I'm going to tell you that we want to get some good color on these. And as I said before, the enemy to color is water. So what I did was I rinsed these and then I dried them off. So you really don't see moisture on these. These are going to go on a sheet pan with our surf, because this, remember, is a surf and turf. So let's prep what takes the longest to cook first. What takes the longest to cook are the potatoes and the green beans. So I'm just going to take these lovely potatoes and I will take some oil. I'm using peanut oil because that's just what I happen to have. And again, I will salt and pepper. I think for this I'm going to use seasoned salt. I like seasoned salt. And you don't really have to worry so much with potatoes. If you feel like you have over seasoned them, don't worry. Potatoes will absorb a great deal of salt. That's why if ever they say, if you've made soup or beans and you have over salted your beans, they recommend, I say they, experts recommend that you, oh, that was one I didn't cut, so I need to reach on over real quick and cut this rogue one. Anyway, when you are making a sort of a stew dish or a soup dish that you over salted, they recommend that you take a piece of potato and you slice it and you put it in there. It takes some of the excess salt out. So that's why even if you think I've gone a little too generous with the salt, it's actually going to be absorbed into these potatoes. So it ends up being enough salt. So I'm going to put this right on the pan, right on the sheet pan. And then I'm going to tend to my haricot vert. What I noticed when I was testing this out before was that these haricot vert are beautiful, but if you get any of these little tails, you're going to want to cut them off because this is going to be a fast cook. Much of what we're doing, which makes this so wonderful for Valentine's Day, is fast preparation. And the fast preparation is going to cause little things like those little tails on the haricot vert to get tough. And it's not lethal, obviously, but it's not, I noticed because I made that mistake already, it's not the most delectable sensation. So we're going to put a little bit of oil on this. We're going to do the same seasonings. So we're just oiling up the haricot vert. Just going to do this for the purposes of space. And now I've messed up both of my hands, which is the reason why I put seasonings in separate little glass bowls, because I knew that I would get to a point where I did not have clean hand, dry hand, wet hand. So, same seasonings. In effect, I'm going to put a little bit of that Montreal steak seasoning on these. So, what have we mussed so far? 2 bowls and a sheet pan. So, we are going to put these in a single layer as much as we possibly can, because we want our vegetables and potatoes to have as much contact with the hot surface area as possible when they go in the oven. Now, if you want this to go even a little bit faster, you can preheat your sheet pan. And so by the time your potatoes and your haricot vert hit it, there's going to be a nice little sizzle, and it will jumpstart the cooking process. Alrighty, so we still have that bowl that is waiting for the surf part of the surf and turf. Again, same bowl. I actually went to Whole Foods yesterday, and I was all set to give you a tutorial of how to peel and devein shrimp, but the least expensive shrimp at Whole Foods, they had already deveined it and peeled it. So yay. These are about, I want to say 15 or 16. And what will we do again? We're going to do the same thing. A little bit of oil. And you know me, I'm not giving you measurements. Just going to coat everything with a little bit of oil. In this case, we're going to take a little bit of lemon too. Lemon is great for the brightness of seafood. And you'll see that I'm just doing this with my hand. Why? Because I was fortunate to go to Wegmans a few days ago and find seedless lemons. So, and I'm also fortunate that I don't have any cuts. So we are going to do the same thing. We have oil, we have lemon juice, a little bit of acid, and I only put the acid on at the last minute because it would have potentially cooked the shrimp. So you want to put it on right before it goes in the oven. So we're going to do a little bit of seasoned salt yet again. We don't have to do so much of it because the lemon already gives it sort of the same flavor profile as salt. That's another good trick if you're trying to reduce your salt intake. Add a little bit of lemon. And I have run out of pepper, so I'm going to put some more pepper on this directly from the pepper mill. And in a few minutes, we will put this in on the sheet pan as well. But we need a few minutes to give the potatoes and the haricots verts a head start. So I am going to put this to the side. We will start our sear. And then we will go back and put these beautiful shrimp in with our haricots verts and potatoes, which are not ready yet. So we are starting with a screaming hot cast iron skillet. And we will put some oil in it. And you'll see that it shimmers almost immediately because it is so hot. Oh, this world was not made for left-handers. But you see all this smoke that's coming up? So this is ready for, ta-da, these. And this is a slightly messy proposition here. You're going to get a good shimmer and a sizzle. So these are going to sizzle on. And what the directions I have seen say, you let them sort of sear for about 30 seconds on each side, and then you flip them and you until you get the desired level of searedness. Is that a word? So this is about ready to go. Now you want, when you choose an oil for this, now again I've used peanut oil. Peanut oil is great because it has a relatively high smoke point. Another option would be grapeseed oil. There are others too, but peanut oil and grapeseed are great options for this high heat cooking, because at a sear this high, you don't want the oil to burn, to smoke and burn. So I think we are going to give these a try. Look at that lovely sear. That's better. That's even better than when I did it earlier. And they actually even have the grill marks from where they were sitting, resting. So that's cool. So they're going to go for a few more seconds while I take the sheet pan out. In fact, I don't even think I'm going to take it all the way out. Make a little bit of space, which there actually is a little space. You're seeing that these have already, they're already reducing in size a little bit. There wasn't this much space before. And we're going to take that shrimp and just, you hear? And now you've got your sizzle. So I'm going to take the cook's best ingredient, the cook's best tool, my own hands, put these on a single layer as best I can. Wash my hands a little, do a little quick rinse, wrench around and wrench. And then these go back in to finish their job. So at this point, we're ready to take these off. Isn't this convenient? This is such a great way. Look at this. This could actually go for maybe a tiny bit longer. You see this? that it looks good. In fact, in my opinion, let's err on the side of caution. Let's take them off now. Let them rest a little bit. We're going to tent them. And I didn't put them in the exact same location as before they were cooked. I'm not so much worried about, you know, the things that we worry about with chicken, or, you know, the sort of bacterial issues. But anyway, we're going to let these tent for a little bit. We're going to start on the pan sauce. So while we do, I have cut everything. This is not going to be a knife tutorial today. We are going to put in some shallots. We're trying to get flavor in as quickly as we possibly can, because everything is going relatively quickly in this application. We will let them saute a little bit until we can smell. And we may need to add a little bit more oil, because these lean cuts soaked up quite a bit of that oil. So we're going to just add a little bit just to prevent burning. And then we are going to toss it around a tiny little bit. And you see that it's already, the shallots are already breaking up a little bit. And the heat is still high. We're going to take mushrooms. Mushrooms are a great source of additional flavor. I just love to pack, I mean, it should go without saying that you're trying to get as much flavor out of your food as you possibly can at all times. So here is a wonderful way to do that. So I'm not gonna fool around with this too much right now. We're gonna let these saute until the mushrooms get a little bit of color. We're gonna take a little break, and then we're gonna put everything together. So see you soon. All right, so we're not quite ready with this sauce yet. We're not quite ready to plate. So we're gonna come back real quick, and I'm gonna show you the progress of our shallots and our mushrooms. I have not added additional salt and pepper. There's so much flavor in everything else. But I will add, just while this is cooking, some whole cloves of garlic. It's a way to sneak garlic in if your beloved swears that he or she does not like garlic. And then you can pick them out and no one's any the wiser. So at this point, we're going to add a little boost of, in this case, I'm going to use some sherry. You can also use red wine, whatever it is that you're going to be drinking along with it. And we're just going to blast this a little bit, largely because I love the sizzle. We're going to cook down the alcohol a tiny bit. If I had a gas stove, which I really want, which will be in my next home, I am making this determination. You are hearing it today. But if I had a gas stove, la-da-dee-da-dee, I would be concerned, a little bit more concerned about adding alcohol while the heat was on. This didn't flame up for me before, so I was pretty sure it wasn't going to flame up now. So you will see that the sherry is really cooking down substantially in a short period of time. Meanwhile, I took the shrimp out because the shrimp was already pink and I didn't want to overdo it. So it is sitting there waiting for all of its neighbors to join it. And this is a sauce after all, just a little bit of a pan sauce. We are going to add a touch of heavy cream. As always, we're not measuring, but this sort of looked like a little over a tablespoon. I'm always saying something's a little over a tablespoon. I don't want somebody to come up in my kitchen and measure me. Do not. But a lot of this cooking goes by feel. You are seeing the creation of your romantic dinner almost entirely in real time. Here is your pan sauce. I will loosen it up a little bit with a touch more cream and a little teeny tiny touch of water. And so while this cooks down, we are finally ready to plate everything up and show you our beautiful tablescape that we worked really hard on and sit down to dinner. So see you in a few. Look at our beautiful Valentine's Day feast. I think we've covered everything. So let's see. There is our beautiful surf and turf. I added to the haricot vert some diced roasted peppers. When the roasted peppers, you don't even have to heat them up. When the heat from the haricot vert hits them, it really adds a nice boost of flavor to the green beans. And we have our roasted potatoes that have roasted perfectly. Put a little bit of chive on there for extra color and flavor. And the star of the show, the surf and the turf. Perfectly prepared shrimp with our actually rare, which I'm sure chefs love, our rare filet mignon that we fanned out restaurant style with our shallot and mushroom sauce. I did add a touch of butter on the end of it. It's just a beautiful, rich feast for you and your beloved. So, what will we serve with this? Well, first of all, while you are sort of settling yourselves with your beloved, we have a couple of amuse-bouche. I think the amuse-bouche. Oh goodness, my French. These are just a couple of appetizers from the store that were popped in the oven with puff pastry. There's one with vegetable filling and one with just a mushroom filling. So one of these plates for you, one for your beloved. And now see, the pairing for a surf and turf is a little touchy because you have to choose something that satisfies both the surf and the turf. A Pinot Noir is a great choice because it has nice body to it, but it's also a little bit on the lighter side so it doesn't overpower the shrimp. So I am going to decant just a little bit of that. And yes, this is going to be fantastic with this. It is light enough, but it has a decent amount of body for the filet mignon. Now, we have dessert too, but we're going to keep it simple. We have a passion fruit sorbet with some lotus cookies. I love these. I mean, for Buddha bites, it's perfect. Those lotus cookies, they used to give them to you on the plane. I don't know if they do that anymore, but these are delicious with our passion fruit sorbet. And guess what? It is Girl Scout cookie season here. So we have a mint chocolate chip ice cream with thin mints, my favorite. Now, we have to end the meal with a little bit of bubbly, so I thought it would be nice to have a nice semi-dry rosé, a sparkling rosé. So we are going to pour one for you, pour one for your beloved. My sister and my brother-in-law helped me with these videos, and they surprised us a couple of years ago by throwing their wedding. It was one of the happiest days of my life for sure. This romantic meal is for them. I love you both very, very much, and I cheer you on your happy marriage and a happy Valentine's Day. This is Iris Fairfax for Buddha Bites. You and your beloved are the Buddha.